So I did put out a post before I really get into a structure of who we've got in the group, before I really structure this group on what people want and how I can help you in this particular group. I purposely ask questions about what you guys want so I can try and tailor something towards it's going to help you. So whenever you get any thoughts, obviously put them in the group, ask questions. If you don't get any answers, that's fine. At the end of every week, when I ask you, what do we want to talk about, just throw them on there, because I go through that post and sometimes there'll be 5 or 6 questions that relate to the same area and I can address them all together. And then other times I think, well, you know, it was like last week I said, how's everyone's business going? What sort of businesses have you got? A lot of people have got businesses and they don't seem to be in any problems. I mean, the majority of people said, yeah, I got a business going good. I'm crushing it. So, you know, it's like, okay, well, what else do you want from this group? What are you in this group for? What can you learn? What can you gain? How can you help people? What's the purpose of you being in this group? And that's a good question you've got to ask yourself. A lot of people jump into groups like this just because other people jump in, or they're curious, like, what's this group about? Become focused and go, well, I know what I want. What can I get out of this group? What can I offer? What can I help? How can I learn? What can I ask questions about? Because you've all got questions. You've all got questions around branding, around graphics, around monetization, around opening up a particular business. Has anyone else done this before? What can you tell me? They're powerful questions. And even if you don't get an answer, it makes you think. So when you ask a question, well, I know for me, when I ask a question, it makes me think about it. It's like if I sit there all day and think, fuck, how am I going to work out? Like, I can't work out. The gym's closed. That's it. Because I haven't actually got it out there. If I posted in the group, hey guys, how can I work out at home? I would immediately think, well, that's a pretty stupid question. You can go and do push-ups and sit-ups and crunches and jumps and step-ups and skips, and you've got weights down in the shed. And all of a sudden I start to answer that question for myself. So asking a question is very powerful, regardless of the answers you get. But what you'll find in a group like this, you're going to get someone that's a personal trainer or that's got experience or that has a gym at home. They're going to go, I do F45 online with a trainer, or Mark Wahlberg, or I go outside and do an obstacle course. And all of a sudden you'll get a few ideas and you might go, oh, I know what I can do. Why don't I do this? So asking questions, especially in a group like this, that's why you're in here. So really get used to that. Ask questions, you know, a couple of times a week. When people ask a question, see if you can help them. Don't just go and answer it for the sake of answering it and saying, you know, shit like, yeah, that's cool, or I agree, or whatever. Like, if you can answer it, answer it. And if you can't, just watch and follow and see what comes in the group, because this is where you'll learn about leadership. You'll see who are actually stepping out of their comfort zone and having a go, and you'll watch people that just sit on the sidelines. And it happens everywhere. There'll be a lot of people in the group do nothing. Sit there, watch, say they're curious, say they're interested, wondering what this is all about. Like, man, that's what they do in life. Wondering what this life's all about. Oh, I'm watching that person get rich. I'm watching that person get fit. Just watching and seeing what it's all about. Fuck that. Get into the game. I mean, this is the purpose of this group. Get into the fucking game here, and then everything else is easy. It's like train hard, fight easy. This is a group where we're all wanting the same thing. We're all in here to have a go. Doesn't matter how bad you are. If you want to do videos on Facebook, if you want to get out there and talk and speak in front of people, and you don't know how to start in this group. Make the worst fucking video you've ever made. Get them embarrassed as hell, scared as hell, look like an absolute tosser in this group, and you're safe. Because every single person that's ever stood on stage or that's ever stood in front of a Facebook Live or a video has had to start somewhere. And the funniest thing for yourself is when you go back and you look at them videos and you think, I wish I had started earlier. They're little confidence boosters. And I mean, some of you don't even want that. You don't care about that. And I'm not saying that's what you've got to do, but this is the place where you come in and ask questions and just have a go. Just ask the dumbest question you can. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Ask a question that you may think's dumb, and probably 50% of the room will go, that's what I was thinking as well. So get into it, because it also helps me help you. If I don't know what you guys want, if you got it all sorted out, everything's hunky-dory, well, we don't even need to be here. So let's get into a couple of the questions. I had a few questions, and basically the first one was around planning. Now, we did go through planning a little bit in a daily plan and how I set up my morning routine, how I use my planner, my weekly planner and all that. But it is a good question, especially now, especially at the end of March. And the reason it's a good question is because all successful people plan out not just their day or their week or their month, but they plan out their quarter and they even plan out their year. Some of them plan out much longer, 5, 10-year goals. But it's really important for you guys, and you should all be doing this, is planning your quarter. And we're about to start a new quarter in the next day or two, depending on where you're from. We're the end of March, perfect time to sit down and plan out the next 90 days, the next 3 months. How do you do that? This is where people come unstuck. If you've got no structure, if you don't know how to plan and put together a 90-day plan, most people get overwhelmed. They come up with unquantifiable results and say, I want to be a millionaire in 90 days, and I'm just going to sit back and see if that happens. Doesn't happen. Okay, there are shortcuts. There are ways to progress quicker, but there's also your basic consistent approach, which you must take. So all of you guys should be preparing your 90-day plan. And if you haven't, you got like a couple of days to start. You should sit down and plan out exactly what you want to see, quantifiable results in 90 days. Now, what do you set goals in? That's where you need your structure. That's where we come to our awesome foursome. The 4 core areas are where you want to set your goals. So you all know you've got wealth, okay? Anything to do with wealth, business, jobs, finance, budget, anything that is involved in money. So if you've got a side business, if you've got a job, if you've got superannuation, if you've got investments, if you've got anything in that area, budgeting, tax, bookkeeping, that all comes under that core of wealth. So I want you to write that down, write wealth. Where do I want to see these areas of wealth? And you can break them down because everyone's different. If you've got a business, you're going to have different areas of wealth. If you've got a job, you're going to have a budget. If you've got a car loan, if you've got bills, if you've got targets that you want to hit with Facebook ads, you've got expenses, you've got ROIs, returns on your investments, you're going to have to put together a plan that's individual for you, is where you want to be in 90 days. So you sit down and you say, okay, in 90 days, in 3 months, I want to be here. Now, this is something that you have to get very, very specific. Don't just say, I want to make more money in 90 days, because that doesn't happen. That's dumb. Okay, if you're making 5 or 10 grand a month right now, and you decide that you want to make 15 or 20 grand a month, then you've got to look at your plan and say, is that doable? Can I do that? Is that something that I can achieve in 90 days? When you get those specific goals and say, I want to be earning this much money, I want to have saved this much money, I want to have paid this much money off that debt, you get quantifiable goals, which you can then target by breaking down those 90 days. Now, you have to do this in all areas. So you sit down and you work out, what do you want to get 100% specifically in that area? And then you do the same for your health. You do the same for your relationships, and then you do your same for your killer mindset. So it's those 4 areas. That's all you want to concentrate on in your 90-day plan. And let's just say you're looking at your health. Let's say you pick up and say, I want to lose weight. Well, don't say I want to lose weight. Say I'm currently 20 kilos overweight. I want to lose 15 kilos, or I want to lose 20 kilos. I want to be this exact weight in 90 days. Make sure it's realistic. And by realistic, I don't mean making it easy on yourself, because I don't like when people say create realistic goals, because we don't understand how powerful we are. Usually we can crush realistic goals. Mindset, that's where the problem comes in. So create a quantifiable, realistic result, but make sure you're pushing yourself. I want to be under 12% body fat if I'm, say, 16%. Like, you're looking at what you can actually achieve in 90 days that's realistic. And it's going to be hard work. Do the same in all areas. You're looking in your mindset. You know, I want to be able to go live in my group or on my videos without hesitation, without any confidence issues in 90 days. When you really put down good results that you want to achieve in 90 days, that's when the magic starts to happen, because then you break it down into your month and you go, right, if I want to get there in 3 months, what do I have to do to get there in 1 month? And you break it up into thirds. And you go, well, if I want to earn 20 grand a month and I'm currently earning 10 grand a month, then by the time I get to the end of the first month, I may want to be at 12 or 13 grand. Doesn't necessarily have to be broken down in thirds, because it might start to scale as you get to the end of the quarter. But it's important to break down those quarterly goals into monthly goals. So you've got a target to aim for at the end of the month. If you're trying to lose weight, you've got a target. You say, by the end of the first month, I need to have lost 3 kilos if I'm trying to lose 8 or 9 kilos in 3 months. It just gives you something to look towards. And then when you're at that month, you break it down into the week. If I've got to lose 3 kilos in a month, then it'd be great if I could lose, 3/4 to a kilo in a week. Then for certain things, I break it right down to the day. If I'm trying to earn a certain amount of money and I break it right down and I say, I've got to earn $500 or $1,200 in a day to get to that goal, then that's all I do. That's how I attack it every day. When I get up my daily plan, I look at it. Today, I've got to earn $1,200. I've got to work out twice. I've got to walk 10 kilometers, 15,000 steps. Like, they're all the things I've got to do on my daily plan. And as long as I hit my daily plan every day, my weekly plan just happens. My weekly goal happens because I just keep chipping at it. Now, you don't always achieve what you want to achieve on that day, but some days you go further. So if I don't get those steps in, or I don't get those workouts in, then I might have to add something else in that week, because I want to make up at the end of that week. I want to have ticked all those boxes for the end of the weekly goal. Sometimes with money, there was a point where I wanted to hit $2,300 in a day, because I was going for that $1 million a year. Some days you crush it. Some days something happens. You come up with a $6,000 or a $10,000 or a $20,000 day. That's great. It doesn't mean you necessarily stop. Some days I do. Some days I hit my target and go, I'm done. It's 10 a.m. I'm done. I've hit my targets. I'm having the rest of the day for myself, because that's how I built my business for me. My business is around my life. Everything about what I want in life is built around what I want. So if I achieve it early, I'm done. Other days, I won't be done. I'll go, yep, that's good, but I want to make up for the other day, or I'm on a roll, or I'm going to keep going today. So it all depends on how you want to run your life and you want to hit your results. But when you're planning these days, sometimes when you don't hit your monetary targets, that doesn't mean anything. It just means you keep going. And there'll be some days where I had specific monetary targets as I was going up that scale. And I can remember when they were $200 a day. And halfway through the day, I hadn't got anything. And it was like, I got to just keep going. And it might be a 12-hour day, because I'm going to hit that $200 by the end of the day. Money can be funny when you go into business, because you'll start to work out different ways to monetize a business. Your original plan might be, I'm just going to go in and I'm going to get this very structured, specific monetization. And as you start to grow through it, you'll learn other areas where you can get influxes in shorter periods of time. You still got one main foundational business that's growing on that curve, but you will come up with other ways to get influxes in. So some days you'll smash your targets, some days you won't. For me, if I crush a target, and I've done it before, and I finish for the day, the next day I get up, I start again. I go back to zero. I don't go, well, I hit 20 times my target yesterday, so I can take it easy this week. I don't do that. I get back up, I start again. I go, what have I got to do today? Okay, 12,000 steps, 2 workouts. I've got to hit my target money target for the day. And alongside that are all your other strategies. Okay, how am I going to hit that? And that's part of your plan as well. When you design this 90-day plan and you've got these goals, you write these goals down. That's what I want in 90 days. This is where I need to be in 30 days. This is where I need to be in 7. Then you got to go back and say, how am I going to do it? Well, if I'm going to lose that weight, I'm going to have to count calories, or I'm going to have to stick to this diet that I'm on, or I'm going to have to do something to get there. And you've got to work that out. So you've got to break those down as well. So when you get to your daily plan, it's very specific. I get up. I know what I've got to do each day. I know I've got to do 12,000 steps. If I don't do that shit, then I'm falling behind, and I don't want to fall behind, because I've got weekly, monthly, and 90-day targets. So that's how I plan everything around 90 days. So it's a perfect time for you guys to start. I don't know what else we can go into there. Quite often when I'm working with someone, we spend a fair bit of time on this. We spend a fair bit of time on really focusing in on their very first 90-day plan, because it's important. Once you get this and it becomes a habit, it's very exciting and very easy to keep doing this every quarter, because you look back and you reflect on when you're coming to the end of the quarter, you go, okay, what did I want for my last 90 days? How did I go? Where did I fall over? What happened? This happened. This happened. Okay, that's fine. Shit's going to always happen. Where did that leave me? Where did that put me? How am I going to start again? So you're not always going to achieve everything that you put down on those 90-day plans. I mean, look at the last 90 days. For me particular, I was in hospital for a week, had an operation, had my appendix out. That threw a lot of my plan out because I was in hospital for a week. I couldn't train for nearly 5 weeks. So shit's going to happen. You got to adapt. You got to overcome. You got to work out, okay, cool, reset. What do I do now? Start again. I'm going to start with smaller results because I'm coming back into this after an operation. So that's how I plan. And it's very important that you guys set up your 90-day plan going forward now to start in April. Set up the goals that you want in all of those awesome foursome areas in the 4 cores and break them down. Have a look what you got to do every day. Easy stuff. Have you guys got any questions on planning? £70, Andrew. Awesome. That's good, man. Good stuff. Alex did a production call. Nerves were shot. 100%. I mean, I found a video that's popped up in my, Facebook lets you know. It really rubs it in, doesn't it? It goes, look at this. Look how you looked 3 years ago. And it showed me a video, which I think must have been 4 or 5 years ago, but it was, here's a video you did. And it was me. I could see I was scared as shit doing that video, but I'd been invited overseas to talk on stage for the first time. And it was part of my business that it had grown so well. I'd been invited to come over and, talk to a few hundred people and get up on stage and do like a, whatever you fucking call it. I don't know. But I remember looking at this video that I was putting out there on Facebook and I went, man, look at me, how much I've changed. And that was back when I was just learning to do Facebook videos. That was the last thing in the world I wanted to do. But, like Alex said, you just go and do it. Fuck it up. Make a fool of yourself. Get all of those nerves, all the shit out. It's like everything in life, riding a bike. The funny thing about riding a bike, when you're a kid, you don't care. You don't give a shit about what people think about you. You don't take things personally. You want to ride the fucking bike. Put me on the bike, fall over. Wow, that hurt. Scrape my knee. I'm crying. Get back on the bike. And then when they ride it, it's like, you beauty. And the problem is the older we get so worried about that shit. We get worried about when we do a shit video, you're going to have your mates that go, fucking hell, mate, what are you doing? You look terrified. And it's like, I've been watching the Prime Minister and all of these politicians on TV, as you guys will have the last couple of weeks. The negativity that's coming up from the comments is unbelievable. Like, I just sit there and I can't watch it. I have to turn the comments off because 99.9 are saying, oh, you look nervous. Oh, pull your head in. You're just a dickhead. And I think, oh God, well, how fucking good are these people? You look nervous. You're just talking to the whole country. You're changing the whole country's history by making decisions. How fucking nervous? Of course they're fucking nervous, but I think they do a fantastic job. And I mean, that's what they do. They've got to practice that shit. But when you got medical people up on TV that probably haven't had that sort of experience, like, it's just amazing how people like to put shit on you. But that's one of the things you got to learn. Let it happen. Let them put shit on you. Laugh at it. It doesn't affect me. Like, cool, I did a video. I look like a dickhead. The next one, I'll be a little bit better. The next one, I'll be a little bit better. And in a year, I'll actually be good at it. And you'll start watching me and you'll start going, yeah, you got a good point. Don't worry about the comments from people. Confidence comes from having a go. So 100%, that's it. What else we got in here? Working out mine the last couple of days. What's that, Chris? What have you been working out? Your gym, habits. It is all about the habits, Wilbur. So that's probably planning. Very, very important. It's so important when you don't do it. Once you do start to plan, it's like everything. You can almost get away with not planning when it becomes a habit. Like, I'm still very purposeful in structuring what I'm going to do for the day. But when it becomes a habit, you can almost get up, you know what to do. You wake up at the right time, you don't need an alarm. You know to meditate, you know to be grateful, you know to do your workout, you know to drink your water, you know to eat healthily. Like, all that shit becomes a habit. You know then to go and spend so much time on your business or go to work. You know to make appreciation phone calls and send texts to people. You know how to go and have a good conversation with someone and actually care and listen. Like that, once you put these habits into place, it's no longer hard to create a plan and to stick by a plan. It's good to have goals, and you will goal set still, but this becomes just a habit. So it's very important to get out of your comfort zone now, or misery zone, as I call it, if you're not planning shit. If I should be able to say to you and put you on the point right there and say, what are your goals in health and fitness in the next 90 days? And what are you doing every day to achieve that? Because if you're not doing that, you got no idea. You're just going with the flow and saying, well, I hope I get fit. I hope I get fucking bigger and musclier and skinnier and less fat. And I hope I eat healthier, and I hope my respiratory system's good. And I hope, hoping doesn't get you anywhere. Planning and action, do the work. That's the key to it all. Let's have a look at the next question. Oh yeah, quarter goals. Okay. Yep. Awesome. Working mine out the last couple of days. Good stuff. And reflect. Always reflect on, you had these big goals last quarter. How'd you go? What did you achieve? Did it fall apart at month one? Why did it fall apart? Were you overwhelming yourself? Did you put too much pressure on yourself? Did shit happen? And write about it. It's important to write about it. And we'll talk about that later when you're reflection journaling at the end of your quarter, because it feeds your brain with what went wrong, what went right. And when you're planning your next month, you start to think about them things ahead of time and think, okay, well, I sort of fell over on the second week on the weekend because something happened, and you can start to avoid those situations. So reflecting on your previous quarters really helpful as well. Another question I think it was Will asked, was around monetizing business and how can I monetize my business? Well, this is a hard question because it depends on what your business is. Depends on where you want to take your business. So there is a lot of work in brainstorming strategies here and vision. Like, where do I want to be in 5 years with this business? And you've got to ask yourself that, because as soon as you ask yourself where you want to be in 5 years, everything else that you've been thinking about probably just goes out the door, because you're probably thinking, where do I want to be tomorrow or next week? And how do I take advantage of this opportunity over the next 3 months? A short-term vision for a business right now is no good. If you've got a long-term business plan, where do I want to be in 5 years with this business? At least have that vision, because then you can say to yourself, if I want to be there in 5 years, then where do I want to be in 12 months? And then if that's the case, well, where do I want to see myself in 3 months? Because all of a sudden you get quantifiable results. You start to say quantifiable goals. You start to say, well, that's where I want to be in a year. I can achieve this in 3 months. There's some basic, I've got to put this all together. So maybe in 3 months, I just want to have all my shit sorted. I want to have all of my business plan, my structure put together. I want to know exactly what I'm doing. I want clarity around my business plan, around my elevator pitch, around an authoritarian or being on an authority in my business. Maybe that's what you want to do over 3 months. How do you monetize that? Well, again, you've got to come back with that plan. Do you enjoy it? Because if you're going to start a business right now, and I know a lot of people want to start a business, they're looking for opportunity. If you don't enjoy it, if it's not something that you're going to enjoy doing for the next 5 years, it's not going to work. It's not going to be a long-term business. So one, you got to know when you're putting together a monetization plan, make sure you enjoy your business, because you've got to enjoy what you're trying to do. So many people I've seen go into business just to make money, and they don't enjoy what they're doing, and it won't last. When it doesn't last, you got to come back and start again. And if you keep doing that, you'll find you've done that 10 times, 20 times, 50 times. If you look back over your business side hustle life and go, well, I once started this. I started an e-com store, and I tried to sell this, and I tried to go into this MLM, and then I tried to do this and do lawn mowing, and then I tried to do all these 100 things, but I gave up on them all because I didn't like them. I wasn't passionate about them. So you really got to find something that you're enjoying. Then you got to find out, why is it valuable, and why is it valuable to somebody else? Who is it valuable to? You got to start to think about, who's your target audience? Like, who would really appreciate, or who needs what I've got right now? The skills I've got, who needs them? Once you start to identify who your target audience is, then you've got to ask yourself, okay, I've got these skills. Am I an authority in that area? You have to be an authority. Whatever your business is going to be, you have to believe that you are good enough at that. And that's a mindset thing, because if you've got skills, well, you are, but you've got to understand that I am an authority in this area, and there are people, my target audience, that want this business. So you start to put it together with a bit of a plan in your head that people need me, not I'm going to sell something to someone. Don't think, right, I can put together a course, I can put together a group, I can put together some sort of business, and then I've got to sell it to people, because this is the mistake everyone makes. You watch it with MLMs all the time. The only posts they'll put on Facebook or social media is, I've got a product, and if you're interested, I want to sell it to you. And have a look at the comments and the likes they'll get, 0, because people don't like being sold to. You can't do that. You don't sell. You got to indirectly sell by doing what you love doing and proving you're an authority. If you do what you love doing, you will attract your target audience, because people will go, fuck, I love what you're doing. What are you doing? You're getting fit, or you're going outdoors, or you're hiking, or you're growing vegetables, or you're flying drones and taking photographs, or whatever your business is. If you do it and you show it and you love it, the right people will be interested and say, what do you do? How do you do that? My app business, and I've talked about this many times before, never, ever did I try and sell my app business. I lived my life. I did everything I wanted to do. I traveled the world. I worked from a computer. People saw me in a cafe working from a laptop. That was my goal. I want to work online from anywhere in the world, from any cafe in the French Riviera, Italy, anywhere in the world. I want to use my phone or my laptop, and I want to make money. That's what I shared. I was an authority in that area, and I never ever got on there and said, does anyone want to buy an app that makes some money? Does anyone want to do this? I never had to, because I got hundreds upon hundreds of messages saying, what the fuck do you do? Whatever it is, I want in. It still happens to this day. I've been getting messages for the last 2 years. What do you do? And I go, I'm a coach. I want to learn from you. I want in. Cool. I don't go on social media and say, hi guys, if you need coaching, hit me up. I'm a coach. I can change your life. I can make you make $1 million. I can change your life and make you so much more fulfilled and happier. I don't need to. I never sell. People will always come to me. And then when they come to me, you've got to ask, I don't sell them when they come to me. Many, many times I just help people. I just go, you know what? You don't actually need that. You need this. How about you look at this? When you're finally ready and you come to me, most people that come to me when I know they're finally ready, they're just ready. They're just like, let's do this. I don't even have to talk to them. So become an authority in your area, in your chosen business. Share that. Don't try and sell to people, because monetization will come itself when there's a demand. What else can I say around that? Basically, when you're creating a business, and I did talk about this a little bit earlier, you're looking to solve a problem. There's a lot of problems in the world right now. I mean, if there wasn't a lot of problems a month ago, sit back and think about how many problems are there now. I watch gyms and personal trainers and all these people go out and say, okay, I'm going to do the only thing that I've seen posted on social media, and we're just going to go on a Zoom call. So if anyone wants to keep training, let's just do a Zoom call. Instead of going, well, hang on, there's fucking more problems right now than that. Sure, that's great. That's like plan A, or your very first option. I can't have anyone in the gym. I can't do one-on-one personal training anymore. So how about I do it over Zoom? Cool, that's going to work. But what about taking a step back and saying, okay, what are the problems people are facing right now? Well, they've got their kids at home. What about I'm going to design, or I'm going to do a Zoom call with you, and we're going to create a training plan for you and your kids so you can do it together. Or we're going to do something for your children so that they can stay healthy as well, because there's going to be a lot of parents that'll be so fucking tied up with schoolwork that they're going to go, okay, I've been helping them all day with their homework, with their schoolwork. I need them to play. They can't go outside. Fuck, I need a break. What am I going to do? Boom. Guess what? I had a personal trainer that's actually going to help them do some fun exercises. And a personal trainer can jump on a call with you for an hour, and they can offer you a solution to your problem. Like there's so many other options that people can take, and so can you right now with what's going on. But you got to take a step back and just think, what are the problems and who do I help? Well, straight away, if you've already got existing clients, they're the ones you help. If you're a personal trainer and you haven't rang every single one of your one-on-one clients by now, what the fuck are you doing? Just to say, look, I know it's a shame. We can't do one-on-ones in the gym anymore. I'm open to any suggestions you've got. If you want to go and do them in the park, I'll do them out there. I've got some equipment. We can do this. I know these were what the results you were after. you wanted to build muscle, lose fat, you wanted to get faster, you wanted to become a better surfer, you wanted to do whatever, we can do this. I've already thought how I can help you still. And if that person says, look, I'd rather not do any one-on-one because of the situation the way it is, you go, cool. Then next step, we can do stuff at home. Where are you struggling? How about I design a home plan for you? What equipment have you got at home? What about your kids? Do you want to get them involved? Do you want to get them to see what you're doing? I mean, leadership now is about, you're going to show your kids how you lead in times of crisis. So how about showing them how you work out at home and getting them involved? Like, there's so many options. And anybody that has an existing client that hasn't reached out to them and worked out a solution with them is crazy. It's crazy. I see it everywhere. They've dropped everyone and they've done the selfish me. Oh no. So everything's closed. I don't know what to do. I'll do what everyone else is doing and I'll just send out a blanket Facebook message. Hey guys, I'm doing this if anyone's interested. Fuck that. Get on the phone. Ring all your clients. How many have you got? Should do it with every business that's shut down. Right now, if you're a CEO of a business and you've got $20 million clients and you haven't rang every single one of them to say, I understand the situation. I understand you're closing down. We're closing down. There's lots of bills and invoices that haven't been paid, but how are you? What's going on with you? Can I help you? Is there anything I can do from my end to help you? Because that pays massive dividends when this shit's over. And it also opens up a conversation where you might be able to help them. They may be able to help you. But this is where you've got to turn that attention on helping people and caring about people. That's how you create a successful business. You don't worry about how do I get money? How do I make money off everyone? Money follows the work. Always offer to work and care for other people and people will pay you. People will buy shit off you when they trust you and when they see that you're genuine and you care. So monetizing a business comes after you do all the work. Don't look to just, how do I take money off people? People will not pay you when they don't know you, they don't trust you, and they don't believe that you actually care. If you're trying to sell them something, this is what people do. As soon as you try to sell them something online, they all back off. If anyone comes to the door and goes, hi, I'm selling something, it's like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing here? What are you trying to pull a scam on me? Fuck off. That's how we all think. We don't, especially in Australia. I mean, America's no different, but we don't want people selling shit to us. We want to go to buy stuff. Like the shop doesn't turn up to our door and say, hi, I'm from the sports store downtown. I've got a basketball and a fucking football. You're like, piss off, mate. I don't want your shit. When I'm ready, I'll come down to your shop. You just make sure that you run a shop that's full of integrity. You look after your clients, your customers, and you do everything right by everybody. And when I start to feel comfortable with you and I trust you and I know that you actually care, I'll come down to your shop and I'll buy whatever you're selling because I like the way you do business. And that's how we've got to do business. We are a business. We are a brand. Every single thing you post on Facebook is about your business. If you want to run a business and you whinge and bitch and complain on Facebook, people aren't interested in what you're selling because you're making them feel like shit. So make people feel good. Make people realize that we're going to get through this. Jump on people's posts and actually try and make them feel better. Be funny. Do something to build a relationship with people. I mean, you can't fake this shit. So I also see that when people learn these basic fucking rules of life, they run off and try to fake it. And it's plain as day. You've got to be a good person. If you're not a good person, work on yourself. I mean, this is the major thing. Work on yourself. Work on those closest to you. Have a look at how you treat your family, your kids, your friends. Do you get the shits? Do you always argue with them? Do you listen? Do you actually take what they're saying and go, yeah, I appreciate that. I can understand why you say that. How can I help you? Start there. Because when you start with your small group, you start to gain that trust, you start to gain that integrity, and then you grow, and then you get bigger. You can't do anything online that's fake or that's bullshit anymore. If you try and rip anyone off, if you try and sell to anyone online, it's known. So really hone down in on that. And then when you get your target audience and you start talking to them, you've got to start storytelling. So you've got to start learning copy, and you've got to start learning when I've got a business, this particular person who I'm targeting is my potential client. How can I tell a story that connects with them, that resonates with them? I know I want to build a business and get a client that was like me. And this is usually what happens. A lot of businesses that we create, our skills come from our own experience. So we went through something, we gained the skills and we overcome that. So for me, it might have been, I went and built a business, then I built another business, and I built another business, and eventually I learned how to build a successful business. So when I start coaching people on building a business, I've already got all the experience because I've been through tens of different business ideas. I've made mistakes. I've learned a lot. So when I look for the ideal client, I'm actually looking for me 5 or 10 years ago. I'm looking. So I know what I was. I know the type of person I was. So I just jump back 5 or 10 years and I think about how I used to feel and I think about all the problems I had and I start to tell stories about that. I know what it feels like to have this much debt. I know what it feels like to be in a loveless relationship. I know what it feels like to be overweight because I've been there and I've achieved things. And this is where you become the authority. You've got to make sure you're the authority because you have overcome those challenges. Same as any business. Make sure that you connect with your target audience, and storytelling and copyrights is really good skills that you could be working on now. That leads into sales and all that whole another call. We could do weeks on sales and strategy and taking the emotion out of all this and selling your knowledge, because a lot of people get tied up with sales. Got a lot of skills. They want to help people, but they're terrible with sales because they believe that they're ripping somebody off. And you're not, because you're helping someone that wants your help. But anyway, that's another story for another time. What do we got there? Any comments in any of that? Deidre, I rang every single client to tell them house cleaning was considered essential business. I was still working, most of us no clue, with kids home. 100%. And not only when you ring them to say my business is still open, but how are you? I know your house is not, even if they say your business is no longer essential and you can't clean, ring them up. I understand that this is happening. How are you guys? Hope you're all right. Here's a few ideas to keep your house clean while you can't have a cleaner. If you go through any dramas, if you spill something, if you find a complete mess and you're wondering, how would I clean that? Ring me and I'll give you some help, because that's how you build that business for the future. That's when you got your 5-year plan and your 12-month plan. That's going to involve looking after your current clients. Not going to be like, hey, I can still clean your house. Oh, look, I can't anymore, so I'm just not going to talk to you for the next 6 months because the government shut down essential cleaning. That shit's, clients are clients and you've got to stay in touch. So 100% talk to them. Then work out how, if you decide and you've talked to them all one-on-one with a phone call, maybe say, have you got an email? Because what I want to do for you guys, all of my clients at the moment, I can't come out every week if it goes down this angle, I'm saying, if your business can't help them. But what I am going to do is I'm going to send out some tips on how to keep your house clean. I'm going to send out some tips on how to use household items to make cleaning whatever, because everyone's buying the shit out of the shops. Like, come up with some solutions for what your clients are actually going through. They got problems at home, and it's not the fact that you can't come to their house and clean it, because that's, the government's taking care of that. If, again, Deidre, if it goes that way, I'm just saying, think about the problems that are there and think about how you can solve those problems for those clients. I know you might not be able to monetize that yet, but this is your business that you want to keep going. So keep your current clients always in the loop. Don't let them go just because the whole world shuts down. There will be opportunities when you start to send out emails and you talk to clients and you give them the ring to actually see how they are. And are things all right? Are you having trouble with the dust? Do you have a child that has asthma and there's things that you can't do? Because here's a few ideas I can help you with. They're going to ring you, and eventually what happens is income streams create themselves. You will start to get demand in another area that you didn't even know existed if you stay in touch with your clients, and you're going to go, here's a bit of an opportunity. Most people are asking me if I can do this. So how about I set up this, and how about I monetize it, and how about I do that? That happens, but it only happens when you actually fucking care about your clients. And I know you guys do, but just make sure that they know you care by keeping in touch with them. Who else we got? Exactly. Cool. So that's monetizing businesses, side hustles, and all of those types of things, and really looking after those clients that you got. So I think I only had one other question that, where was it? Okay, it was around books. Yes, look, it was around books that I've read that have impacted me, and some of you that I've talked to or know how I feel about that. I'm in two minds about books. I mean, they're not essential in any way. I can say you don't need books to become successful. And then I can say they are essential and you do need books. So I'll always go in two different ways. The raw truth is, before I built my major business, I didn't read any books. So I didn't need that. I know you'll see all the Instagram posts and a lot of people will say, oh, no, you got to read 100 books. You got to read all of them. You got to do everything. Every book's important. No, it's not. That said, when you find problems in business and when you hit hurdles and when you hit brick walls and when you get mindsets, issues, blocks, or when shit happens in a business and you don't know what to do when you're scaling and you don't have a coach, then 100% books can become very, very good. So yes, they become essential, but they're not essential. One of the biggest problems that I see with people, and they do it all the time, is they read all the books. They take none of it in. There's no active reading. There's no implementation. It's, I've got to read that book, and I read that book, and I read that book, and I've read them all, but still nothing's happened. They read too many books in too many areas of expertise. They don't take any of it in. They just read it to tell someone they've read it. They post a picture of it, and it's like, yeah, that's a fucking great book. Cool. It's like, David Goggins, great book. Everyone goes and gets it and reads it, but how many people went and implemented it? How many people went and actually fucking done what he done? Probably none. It's an inspirational book. It makes you feel good, but it's like motivation. I got inspired. I read it. It sounded really good. I fist pump, and then I went back down and I'm back to where I was. So don't waste your time reading books, especially from cover to cover, for no purpose. That's what then when in the same conversation, but has there been impactful books for me? 100%. I mean, let's say that the only book other than The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the only book I ever read that had an impact on my wealth is that book. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I met Robert Kiyosaki as well when I was in the States last year. And if you haven't read that book, I mean, that book will completely put you on the right track when you're looking at investments and liabilities. If that's all it does, if that's all you get out of that book, then it's perfect, because you'll start to understand, should I buy that? Should I say no? Simple as that. Is it an investment? Is it going to make me money? Am I buying a liability out of investment created funds? Awesome book. So I read that. That helped me put together my portfolio of investment properties. And it also helped me, everything I do now, I think I question it. If I go to buy something, I go, is that an investment? Is it a liability? If it's a liability, am I buying it from money that's come from an investment? Simple strategy, awesome book. So anything to do with wealth in that area, that's a great book. I've got some other, you guys will know about As a Man Thinketh for mindset. Very, very small book. Super powerful. Like, if I'm going to read this book, and I've read it 100 times, I'll only read a couple of pages. Sometimes I'll read 2 pages, because there's so much that you get from a book. As soon as I get a nugget out of a book, that's it. I stop. So I could read this book and I can read 2 sentences and go, oh, 100%. That really resonates with me. I love it. And I'll highlight it, and I'll drop the book, and I'll think about what I read, and I'll implement that in my day. And I'll think, how can I use that passage to help me today? When I'm on a conversation, if I'm on a phone call, everyone that knows me will realize I'm actually purposefully implementing that passage. And I do it every day. Sometimes I might have to read a chapter to get something, but I don't sit there and read a book from start to finish. Most books that I've got lying around the place, I might have only read a quarter of them. If I'm not interested in them, I don't read them. This is a life-changing book. It's a sales book. I couldn't get into it just because of the mindset that I was in, the frame that I was in. And the reason is, you've got to be in a mindset of sales. If you are not exactly in that 100% frame, then the books you're reading aren't going to do it for you. So if you're interested in real estate, or you like the idea of being a real estate investor, and you go and get a real estate book, so say this one, Margaret Lomas, investing in the right property right now. You can read that, take a month, go right through it. Awesome strategies, learn a lot of stuff. Never implement it because you were never going to anyway. You haven't gone and found a broker. You haven't even got a deposit. You're in no place to invest in property. You're just interested in it. Waste of time reading it. Seriously is waste of time reading it. It's not going to hit your goals. When you go back to your 90-day plan, when you've got goals to hit in 30 days, if your goal is to achieve 6 sales or 12 sales or 50 sales in 90 days, then you read a sales book. That helps your goals. And then when you finish this book, it will lead you to the next book. And you don't even have to finish it. I mean, you might read 2 or 3 books. This right now, this is one of the greatest books I've read as well, Think and Grow Rich. Again, if it's all about money and your 90-day plan, you're trying to change your mindset around money. If your mindset is what's holding you back, then get something that's actually in your plan to help you achieve your plan. I've got lots of, habits, another one for me right now. So I'm really interested in this high performance habits. I'm reading that at the moment. That's fantastic. Right now is a time to get good habits because all of your old habits have been thrown out the window. For most people right now, everything's different. So when you work out, how you work out, what you eat, so many things have changed in the last 2 or 3 weeks that you've got to adjust, you've got to adapt. So for me, my gym where I worked out and my trainer no longer are happening. So immediately I've adapted. I've set up my gym down in my shed and I'm doing different stuff. It's not what I want. I don't have a Smith machine. I don't have all of the dumbbells, but I adapt to something else and I go, that's cool. I'm going to work out another plan. And I just implement it immediately. That's why High Performance Habits is a really good book. And there's another book called Small Habits, which if you're stuck in the house, you can set yourself up with small habits. Like every time I go to the bathroom when I'm finished, I'm going to do 10 push-ups. Or every time I drink water, I'm going to do 10 body squats. And you can start to implement these small habits in your day and they will have an effect. If you become consistent and do them over the weeks and the months, they're going to help you. But yeah, look, books are great. Books give me, sometimes they give me inspiration or they help me with certain things. This is a fantastic book, 4 Agreements. If you haven't read that, you should read that. It's a really well-written book and it's got some really good, just some great values for life. A lot of these books that I've got in here, I'll read them over and over again, simply because you get so much. Reading a book once does nothing for you, especially if you read it from start to finish. If it's in a self-development area, if you're just reading a novel, then that's a different thing. But I only read books in business, mindset, psychology, self-development, that sort of area. That's all I'm interested in because in my plan, that's all I want. If you've got a relationship, that's going to be part of your 90-day plan. You want to build relationships, whether it's with family, a partner, kids, clients, whoever, the person that sells you coffee, you've got to, some more. You want to have something to learn in that area. This is a fantastic book, 5 Love Languages. A lot of people have read that, especially women have read this. Biggest problem is they can't get the man to read it. And they don't want to do the test to find out what their love languages are. But powerful book if you're having issues with relationships. That's another good relationship book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. But I wouldn't say go and read 100 books. Sorry, I do say that sometimes. Someone will say to me, what books should I read? And I go, all of them. Because it's too hard to get into, be very specific. It depends. And it depends. That's why when I'm working with someone one-on-one, we put down the plan. This is what we want in 90 days. This is what we want in all these areas. This is what we want to achieve. Okay, where are we lacking? What do we know? What don't we know? What do we know? Cool. Then I can say, okay, for that area, I want you to have a look at this book. And we might just read it 10 times, 20 times. We might just read snippets of it. We might use it to create strategy, to create content. But just generally speaking, a lot of people will say, what's a good book to read? If you just blindly say, oh, read these books, doesn't help anyone. That's my take on books, because I never read a book to create my first business. Now, when I read books, I get tiny little things that make me think, yeah, that's a really good idea. I like that. I'm going to go and implement that. And it'll either work or it won't work. But that's sort of my answer, my long answer on what sort of books have I got that have impacted me. But if that was a great book, and let's say, Andrew, that you posted that just out on social media and went, this is an awesome book, I love it, it's helped me because you were in a position where you grew that business, somebody else might go, oh, I've got to read that book if he likes. But yeah, there's lots of good books to have around. And for me, when I'm in a specific area, or if I'm going through a phase of building out something in my plan, I might be, right, I want to do a course. I want to take this course and I want to develop it and I want to do this. That might make me think, you know what, I need to read that book. Keep saying this is a good book. So when you're negotiating in sales, there's certain things in different books that will make you remember that was a good book. I want to go back and read that because there were some really good ideas that I can implement in that course that I'm about to make. But I will only read bits and pieces. I won't just read the whole book for the sake of reading the whole book. I'd be hard to actually show you a book that I've read from cover to cover, other than Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And you can get that on Audible, and it's really good on Audible as well. I tend to prefer books where you can actively read. I do have Audible. I love Audible. And a lot of these same books I've got on Audible. So if I am in the car, if I am driving, if I'm on the plane, if I'm flying, if I'm whatever I'm doing, I do like to listen to a lot of that stuff. It's like podcasts. But like I said last week, when you really want to get information out of these things, especially a book, I'm a highlighter and I stop and I put it down and implement. And it's active reading. It's a whole different scenario. That's about it, really. I don't know. I haven't got any other questions unless you guys have got anything we want to talk about. All great books. Yep, they are. They are. Again, the right time, right place. You need a nugget, you get a nugget. But I mean, reading in itself is very powerful. Learning language, understanding how storytelling is written, understanding punctuation and all that sort of stuff. That's fantastic as well. That's a separate thing. So every day I try and read. I shouldn't say I try and read. Every day I read. But I don't read just for the sake of reading. If I start to read this book and I get 5 minutes in and it's doing nothing for me because it's not assisting my goals. Sometimes you might want to read just to decompress or to take away all of the stress and the noise, and you just want to read anything, and that's fine. But if I'm actively reading and I get 5 minutes into that book and I think, oh, I'm not getting into it, I'll put it straight down and I'll get something else. So I'll still read 15, 30 minutes a day, and then I'll read again at night before I go to bed, but they're all purposeful. I'm only reading what I want to push into my brain, and it all goes back to my planning. So it sort of made sense that we did planning at the start. Rightio, well, let's wrap it up. Like I said, please, next week, if you've got questions that you want to discuss, you want to talk about in your own business, you want to talk about in general, put them in the group. Let's see who can answer them. I love to see people engaging. I love to just watch and see if someone asks the question and what answers they get. And if you don't get the answer or you just want to talk about it at the end of the week, put it in the post that I do just before we go live, and let's talk about it then. Righto, guys, take care, be safe. I'll talk to you soon.